No, thank you. Thank you. Very clearly you are uncomfortable in sari.
I'm actually not feeling uncomfortable, but it might be seeming that I'm uncomfortable. I'm just trying to practice for it.
Do you know that your birthday happens to be a day on which a major political party in Maharashtra was established?
I'm sorry, sir, I don't exactly know of it, but I can guess. I think Shiv Sena, which was established.
NCP. What is the position of NCP in Maharashtra?
So presently NCP is, if we look at the current elections, municipal elections, NCP has suffered losses at many places. But on a state level, NCP is doing well.
Actually, you are staying in Pune, right?
Yes.
NCP actually has emerged practically the ruling party in Pune. How
Yes,
come
sir.
you are saying NCP suffered losses?
Sir, but as compared to the previous elections, I think that the turnout was lesser this time.
Two more number of seats than the dissolved house.
I'm sorry, sir, I was not aware of that.
Also think of Jilla Parishad elections in Maharashtra. NCP has emerged with more number of seats. How come you are saying NCP has suffered reverses?
Sir, I was actually thinking about Nasik when I answered it. I should have thought.
Why were you thinking of Nasik?
Sir, because I was a resident of Nasik, and at that time NCP was powerful then, and it suffered debacle this time. So it was just that I thought of it.
Will Nasik have Manase mayor?
Sir, as of now it's difficult to predict it, but it seems that it will have a mayor from.
Seems, in fact, it seems it will not have mayor.
So, but looking at the current speeches that were given, it does seem.
What speeches and whose speeches?
Sir, as in the particular political leaders of MNS, and they are confidently alleging that they will have their mayor.
Shiv Sena was supposed to back Manase in Nasik, right? Shiv Sena is not backing Manase. Shiv Sena is going to back NCP. Then Manase will not have their mayor.
Yes, sir, but these are. This is also subject to change. This is what I think. That eventually there might be some changes.
Do you agree with Manase politics in your state?
Sir, personally, I don't agree with MNS politics in Maharashtra, because I think MNS focuses on parochial ideology, which is basically the son of the soil issue, and it proclaims violence against the North Indians, or who are the we-they factor that we encounter here. So
But then Maharashtrians seem to be voting for MNS.
Yes, sir. Maharashtrians seem to be voting for MNS because it is something that appeals to them, because the very ideology of MNS, which it proclaims regarding the Marathi Manus, or the very basic idea that there is someone who is standing for their rights. So this is the reason why MNS or even Shiv Sena, which earlier had similar ideology, is getting support.
But does it mean actually Maharashtra is turning into a parochial state?
Sir, I won't completely agree with that, but parochial tendencies are seen in Maharashtra as they are seen in many other states as well, because up till now these voices were suppressed as in whatever people felt. Shiv Sena was the first one to voice the cause for Marathi Manus.
We always thought Maharashtra actually gave leadership to the whole country, if not the world. How come that Maharashtra is now turning parochial?
So Maharashtra has always given leadership to the country, as in if you look in the history as well. But even right now, Maharashtra has always seen an influx from immigrants from all other states as well, especially when it comes to Mumbai. And in recent, with globalization, this has increased. So somewhere the cause of Marathi Manus per se, the voice of Marathi Manus or the resident of the soil has been suppressed till now. So it has got a bent right now.
We again hear in history that actually this son of the soil used to freely go all over India. Even establish empire, that was okay. But for North Indians to come into Maharashtra is not okay.
So that that's what is the basic paradox, that is what MNS is alleging to proclaim. That is, they believe that they are trying to give voice to the Marathi Manus on a very parochial ideology. But
I hope you are getting the point. We are discussing, is Maharashtra turning parochial? If people are voting for Manase, also Shiv Sena, it means Marathi Manus, who should actually have visions of the entire country, if not the whole world, is actually turning regional, sectarian and parochial.
so to some extent it is true that Maharashtra is turning parochial, but ultimately what I think is, as the time progresses, people will vote for development rather than these parochial ideologies which appeal in a time-bound basis.
Well, I'll ask you one more thing. Parochial or not, the influx, as you said, of people coming to Mumbai will make Mumbai a dead metropolis in the next few decades. Are you aware of that?
I'm unable to get the exact question.
If people keep on pouring into Mumbai, Mumbai will become a dead city because it will be unable to cope with the influx. It will be unable to provide the basic facilities that are required by the urban dwellers. And today, the capital of the economic and the commercial industrial country, capital of the industrial and economic unit of India will become a dead city.
So to some extent it is true that...
And how do you stop it? Because according to your constitution, you cannot restrict anyone from travelling anywhere and practicing any profession in any part of the country. So how do you stop it?
So basically what I think is, when it comes to migration, both push as well as pull factors should be addressed equally. As if the people from the rest of the country are immigrating into Mumbai, it means that there is something which is pushing them as well as something which is pulling them to Mumbai. So I think a balanced regional development of the entire country will act as a step.
What is happening in Bihar currently with this push and pull factor that you are talking about?
In Bihar, there is development which is going on, as in ever since the change of the government with coming in of Nitish Kumar, there is a development which is going on, but still it is not enough to curb the push factor that is there.
It actually has.
So to some extent, but still I think that there...
Practically immigration to Maharashtra from Bihar has stopped. There is a paucity of actually hard labor in Maharashtra now because Biharis are no more coming to Maharashtra.
Yours is a beautiful name. What does it mean?
Mrunmayee actually means it is emerged from earth. It is a name of Sita, and it means that it is something which has emerged from earth.
What was it that we journalism? What was it that lured you to journalism?
Actually, it was just an opportunity that came by me. Actually, I had a flair for writing since my schooling, and I got an opportunity with Times of India where they wanted amateur writers.
What did you write for them?
I usually used to cover news related to Pune as the civic issues, and as well as sometimes there used to be columns which were opinion based, as something related to maybe the Ganpati festival.
How long did you write for it?
I wrote for 4 years since my 12th standard.
Out of those 4 years and all those writings, one writing that you felt that yes, it was good because I was a journalist.
Now I had actually written an article during the Ganpati festival regarding the pollution that is taking place, as in the segregation of the garlands and everything which was not taking place at some centers. And I had written an article on it, and it actually had an effect that a few days later, as in on the 10th day, there were changes made and people had taken some action about it.
So means you realize you have something very special that can be used. So why not have a career in it?
Ma'am, actually journalism gives you a very powerful platform where you can voice people's grievances and as well as get their redressal. But being in government, it gives you the power to actually act. So I thought that being a part of the system would be a better idea than being outside the system and commenting upon it.
This is the first time you are appearing for the interview.
Yes.
You cleared it in your first attempt.
Yes.
Where did you prepare yourself?
Sir, I prepared myself in 2-3 institutes in Pune. I prepared myself at Chanakya Mandal. I also prepared myself at Jnana Prabodhini. And I did self-study the rest of the time.
Okay. So, have you heard of
What she means is she didn't prepare it for herself. Remember
yes,
that.
definitely.
Ultimately.
Anyway, who was Chanakya?
Or we can say preparing this way is like preparing different.
It was okay.
Your solace.
Yes, who was Chanakya?
So Chanakya was the advisor of Chandragupta Maurya, and he wrote the book Arthashastra, and he was the one who actually, he was earlier a minister in the Nanda dynasty, in the Nanda court, and he was the one who tried to make Nanda dynasty aware.
What does he preach in Arthashastra?
Sorry, Arthashastra, Chanakya basically tries to preach realism, which means practical statesmanship and the way a king should act in a pragmatic way to defend his country.
Why is he called Machiavelli of the East?
Because Chanakya was amongst the first Indian thinkers or Indian
Is
political.
it right to call him Machiavelli of the East?
To some extent, it is right to call him as Machiavelli of East, because just as Machiavelli of the West was a realist thinker and the first one to break the domains of ethics and preach practical politics, similarly Chanakya was for the East.
Chanakya has no morals for politics.
Chanakya does have morals for politics, but his
So how can you call him Machiavelli?
sir, even Machiavelli had morals,
No.
but
He says politics has no moral considerations. Power is the only goal of politics.
yes sir, but again with Machiavelli, what I understood of Machiavelli was that he advocates power and the freedom for the people to do for the people in power to do anything only as far it is in public interest and not in their private domain.
Machiavelli says, achieve power any means may. Does Chanakya say that?
Oh, no sir, Chanakya doesn't say that. But
What is Chanakya's theory of international relations?
Sir, Chanakya gives a concept, a Mandal theory of international relation, where he
Does it
gives-
hold good now in the present times?
So some principles do hold good in the present times as well,
Give some example.
which include that something like he said he was the one to say that neighbor of neighbor is a friend. So this holds true even today when we come to India, Afghanistan and Pakistan relations. So
What is Saptanga theory of state?
Saptanga theory of state says that there are 7 organs of a state, which are it is an organic theory of the state, which believes that state is made up of 7 organs, which include the king, the treasury, the ministers, the people, and the territory.
What does Chanakya say about caste system?
I'm sorry, sir, I'm not aware of that.
Who is your favorite political thinker?
Sir, among the Western thinkers, I like Plato.
Neither among Western nor I said who is your favorite political thinker.
So Gandhiji is my favorite.
Why?
Sir, because what I think is that through whatever Gandhiji preached and whatever that his writings are, they are basically a synthesis of Western as well as Indian thought, and it is somewhat a middle way which is most suited for the contemporary world.
Was he anti-modernity, anti-machine?
No sir, Gandhiji was not anti-modernity, neither was he anti-machine, but he only was against the machines if they replace the labor. He was not against science.
Is there any machine which doesn't replace the labor? That's the reason he is charged for being anti-machines.
Sir, but again there is a difference that how much percent of labor is being replaced by machines. If machines replace the entire labor in a country as labor intensive as India, then it is a problem. That was what he was opposed to.
Actually, his policies would take us back into medieval ages.
No, sir, I don't think so, because Gandhiji basically advocated moderatism in everything. That is need. This is reflected from his statement that earth has everything for you.
We are saying in the context of machines.
Yes, sir, in the same context as well. If we-
Charkha, goat milk, and pancha, and all this is like back to Gandhiji actually also believed in caste system. Are you aware of that?
Sir, Gandhiji believed in Varna Ashrama and
Yeah.
he tried to differentiate both of them.
Yeah. So, but it is this way or that way, it is caste system.
To some extent, yes, sir.
It's all backward thinking.
No, sir, I don't think so, because basically what Gandhiji tried to propel was something that was basically good. As in goat milk, there is nothing derogatory or nothing that you are supposed to, as in you are going back in time when you are consuming goat milk. And charkha then was the need of the time. Charkha was a way to inculcate mass
What about
participation.
Gandhiji's extreme insistence on non-violence?
So Gandhiji's non-violence is to be seen in two lights. One is in his personal domain and in his public domain. Gandhiji's non-violence in public domain and his extreme insistence on it was the need of
He
the
makes
time.
no difference between personal domain and private domain, public domain when it comes to non-violence as an article of faith.
Yes, sir, but when we try to theorize his political theory as a third person, we see that his insistence on non-violence in the public domain was need of the time, because Indians at that time were unarmed, and when we have to face the British,
Is that what he said? Did he take to non-violence because it was not possible for Indians to bear arms?
no, sir. This was not his thinking. This was the thinking of the interpretation of the later historians. Gandhiji.
In fact, Gandhiji said that if India is going to achieve independence through violence, I would not want independence. He placed non-violence even above nationalism.
Sir, actually, I heard one more sentence which is different than the sentence which you have said. Sir, the sentence was that Gandhiji said that it is better to undertake violence than be a coward. So, I think that this is what Gandhism is.
That is not to take to violence. He said he wanted to focus on fighting injustice,
Yes, sir.
but he said fighting injustice in a non-violent fashion.
Yes, sir. But again, he tried to go a step ahead when he said that better to undertake violence than to suffer injustice.
All impractical thinking, that's what I am trying to say. Non-violence. Are you going to run the country with non-violence?
Yes, sir. Sir, I think that it is actually, in fact, it is the most relevant ideology in the present day, because present day what we see is violence perpetuated by the state, perpetuated by the community, and anything where
I am going to ask you an uncomfortable question. He said if a woman is being raped, she should commit suicide but not take to violence. In so many words he said this.
Sir, I think that was per se because that was his personal insistence on non-violence.
Not personal. This is ideological insistence on non-violence. How can he say that? Juxtapose the earlier sentence you are quoting, that it is better to be violent than suffer injustice. And then he comes up and tells the woman to commit suicide. I would rather ask her to kill.
Sir, there are some fundamental loopholes in the whole Gandhian ideology because it is not completely documented and it is not well written maybe, because this was what he said. These were his thoughts basically. But I think that non-violence per se, when we apply to the international level, when we apply to the day-to-day life as well, is the relevant ideology.
Can you tell me something about the present role of China in tightening its noose around India?
So China is playing a very active role currently, and it is pursuing its string of pearls policy. Currently in the Indian Ocean region as well, it has got permission to explore. It is trying to build ports at Gwadar, at Hambantota in Sri Lanka. So I think that it's a wake-up call for India, where India should try and frame its policies accordingly to not exactly check China, but at least to guard its own independence.
How can it build its counter defense?
So counter defense would be that having better relations with its own neighboring countries and securing them that India is not a big brother in the sense to try and assert their interests, but instead India, the way they will get benefited from India. This will stop them from playing with the China card, which is in fact helping China to
See, in the previous India-China war, Nehruji kept saying Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai, and then the whole Himalayan plunder took place. What if that is repeated again today?
Sir, I think that it
If
won't.
we try to cozy up to China and finally they end up by attacking us, what should be our defense?
So what I think is that the dynamics in 1962 and dynamics now are quite different. That then Nehru in Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai was somewhat an idealistic stand adopted by Nehru. But currently if we see Indian foreign policy, it is much more pragmatic than what it was earlier, where we are trying to check China as well, we are trying to maintain a safe distance, we are trying to put forth our ideas, and we are not taking back our stand as a may it be Arunachal Pradesh or other in other situations.
Who are other illustrious Joshis?
Sir, Nam Joshi was the first
Not
social.
Nam Joshi. Joshis. You can't figure out any Joshi
No, I can. Sir.
more illustrious than Mumbai Joshi.
No, sir, I can definitely. Sir,
Who was Ferguson?
Sir James Ferguson was the governor of Bombay.
Why give his name to the college?
Sir, actually, this college, I think I'm not very sure about the answer, sir.
This is a typical Ferguson college answer. Why continue his name after independence?
Sir, actually, there is particularly no need to continue that name.
But
after
Ferguson
independence.
college students oppose changing the name.
Do you know that Ferguson is a brand name internationally?
Yes, sir.
You are saying there is no need to continue with the name.
Sir, but brand name, as a brand name is more or less established from the deeds rather than just the name per se. So I think that even if we change the name and
We should, that's what
We
I'm
changed the
saying.
name, we changed the name of Mumbai. We changed the name of Mumbai. How many people internationally called Mumbai, or do they still continue calling it as Bombay?
so what I think is that name is a very trivial issue because basically it is your.
It is not a trivial issue.
So because what I think is what happens in the college rather than the brand name is what counts more than just the name.
Rather, it's the other way around.
No, ma'am. I think that brands exist, but they exist only when they are backed with
If
equal.
you ask about Pune University, they might not know Pune University, but they know Ferguson.
That is because of Pooja Batra. It has nothing to do with on at the most Sonali Kulkarni. That I'm a little sure. If I say that
Both of them are my students.
Yeah.
Sir, I think that name is a very so it is completely my personal opinion that name is a trivial issue, as in it is just your identity per se. But more than this concrete identity, your identity is made by what you do in the college, the way the college.
Don't go to the college and say this sentence over there. It's going to cause violence. They are not going to listen to Gandhiji if you say it over there. Is study of history useful?
Yes, sir. Study of history is useful because history gives you a perspective to understand the present. It gives you a legacy, something to fall back upon, and something that you can cling on to when you are dealing with your present.
Is it really possible to understand what happened in the past?
So, to some extent, it is possible to understand what has happened in the past because we have got historical accounts, we have got inscriptions, both literary as well as non-literary evidences about it, and it is up to us how to interpret them. But a brief sketch about it can definitely be posed.
On every single historical issue, there are at least two opinions which are diametrically opposite of each other. Then, is it really possible to understand?
Sir, but basically, from two diametrically opposite instances itself emerges a synthesis, and that is what we should focus upon. Rather than going to extreme accounts of two historians, if if we try to streamline it, we get an overall idea about the history.
In fact, studying history is like saying that something is happening now because something happened in the past. And therefore something is likely to happen in the future because something is happening now. This is all illogical.
So to some extent we can say that something happening in the past has repercussions on something happening in the present.
Absolutely illogical.
Sir, I beg to disagree with you as in...
See, Sachin scored how many centuries? You have heard of Sachin?
Yes, sir.
So any idea about how many centuries he has scored?
No, sir, I don't watch cricket at all.
You seem to be living in some very special cocoon where you don't know much about Sachin.
Sir, I know about Sachin to the extent that he is as a very primary knowledge about Sachin Tendulkar.
He has scored 99 centuries. So studying history is like saying that in the past he has scored 99 centuries. Therefore in the present also he will score one more century, and in the future also he will score 100 centuries.
Sir, it is very difficult to draw a direct conclusion from history.
That's what history does.
No, sir. I don't think that history draws direct conclusions. But what I think, if we see on a broader picture, like I would like to give you the example of the World Wars. Like from the First World War, we didn't learn inferences which led to the Second World War. So it somewhere
Because it was in the present, that has nothing to do with history. Those lessons learned were the lessons learned in the present,
Yes, sir.
not past.
Sir, but that's what in that era we failed to learn the lessons from immediately. But after the Second World War, we tried to learn lessons. As in the League of Nations failed miserably. UN comparatively is a better surviving institution than League of Nations. So,
What is the exact meaning of the word itihas?
I don't know, sir.
What is the possibility that India would emerge a superpower in years to come?
Sir, what I think is that the whole concept of superpower itself is diminishing. We are heading towards a multipolar world.
Isn't China emerging as a superpower?
Sir, I don't think so because we are heading...
Are you mixing between the concept of superpower and the concept of bipolar world? Those are two different things.
Yes, sir. But a superpower means a dominant power, the way I look at superpower is one whole and sole dominant power which leads the world at many fronts, like US was there till the yesteryears. But now what I think is that we are heading towards a multipolar world where...
Can't there be a superpower in a multipolar world?
Sir, it's very difficult to have a superpower in a multipolar world because the way the world economies and the world societies are getting integrated, and as well as along with that each country is powerful in different aspects. So if we say that India is a superpower, maybe India might be a cultural superpower, a societal superpower, China might be an economic superpower. So that was what I meant by a multipolar.
It is also a military superpower. It was the first country to destroy a satellite in space. And it is known as the fire-breathing dragon, not a sleeping dragon anymore.
Yes.
So what do you have to say about that?
So China is progressing.
And it has its expansionist attitude as well.
Tell us about rise of women power in the world.
So women, if we look at the current international politics, there is definitely a big time rise of women power, may it be the heads of the states. There are many states which are having women as their
Will the world be a better place if women begin to rule?
Yes, sir. It will no doubt be a better place because then there will be a parity between men and women. Because when women come as rulers, there will actually be it will be a better governed state.
What is the concept of gender budgeting?
So gender budgeting means that you are leaving some part, allocating some part of the budget for the development of the women in the particular area.
Is that right?
I think so.
Would you prefer to join executive or judiciary?
Sir, I would prefer joining executive because executive gives you a larger canvas to work with rather than the judiciary. Because in judiciary...
Your mother is going to be angry with you for this argument.
No, sir. In fact,
She'll actually pull you up for contempt of court.
No, sir. She actually supports my argument because judgment confines you judiciary, being a judge confines you to just one branch of the government, that is the judiciary, whereas executive, you have greater powers, you are the policy.
If you look at what is actually happening in the country, you will see that most of the proper executive orders are actually forced by the judiciary.
Yes, sir.
So,
What I think is that whatever the judiciary is doing presently, that is acting in the executive domain, that is per se not the function of judiciary. Judiciary is forced to do this because of the failure of the executive to implement those orders, failure of the legislature.
at times is it crossing the limits?
Yes, sir, it is crossing the limits, but what I think is that it is forced to cross the limits because of the failure of the other two branches to act in their role.
Thank you. All the best.